Desiderata, here we are. So friends, I was going through this document called the Desiderata, and it's something that I read long ago, probably in high school. I just wanted to remind myself, It's a document that was written by Max Ehrmann in 1927. That's the generally agreed author, though it's debatable. Some people tend to conflict that. But what is important is what is written, not who wrote it. And it says that go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. You can already get the flow of what this is talking about. This is awesome. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Then I sat and remembered that I've had several failures and rejections in life, and in this video, I thought I should share some of those, at least 3 of them. I know some of you who know me personally might think that I have everything going for me, going my way, made up, set up. This guy was the best student in the country. This guy is a doctor and a YouTuber and all these other things. But the truth is I've had a fair share of failures and rejections, and I've learned a few things from them that I think may benefit, if not edify and encourage some of you. So let's dive right in. Now this will be more of a talking head video. I'll just be speaking and you guys will be listening. So feel free to listen to this as a podcast, sort of, but there might be some photos and videos I might throw around here and there, but you won't miss much if you just listen to this as you do some other stuff. Now let me start this story right about the time I was completing my primary school, standard 8. And for those of you who are not Kenyans, what used to happen is we would do our 8 years of primary school, and at the end of the 8 years, you need to select whatever high school you would like to go to, just like I think people do for colleges and so on. So what happened is I wanted to go to Starehe Boys Center and School, and that is one of the best high schools in the country. And I knew that I'd make it because, I was bright enough. I was always the best student in my class. I used to get all the good grades, and so I knew that I'll go to this school. You had to make a specific application for that school, and I did it. Everything was in order. So I sank into my books and studied, waiting to go to Starehe. The main exam, which is the national exam that everyone in the country does, it's called KCPE, came around, I did it, and as always, I performed well. I was the best, not just in my school, but also in my district, West Pokot district as it were. And I got 430 out of a possible 500 marks. And that was quite good considering it was actually a record that stood for several years. So I knew that having performed well, I'd get into my dream school, Starehe Boys Center and School. What happened is that was not to be. I was selected to join a local school. At that time, it wasn't a very good school. It's called Chewoyet Boys High School. I was thoroughly discouraged. I felt very hopeless. In fact, I actually wanted to repeat the exam the next year so that at least I could go to a better school. It was horrible, but my parents struggled. They went around looking for at least a better school that, would encourage me to pursue further education rather than going back to primary school. And I landed in Friends School Kamusinga. At that time, it was actually a nice school. And so I went ahead, joined Friends School Kamusinga, got in there, did my thing, and it happened that I was the best student in the country. Not in the district anymore, but rather in the country. After the KCSE, that is the 4th form, or rather the main exam at the end of high school for those of you who, again, might not be Kenyans. The lesson I learned from this is that you might not actually know what destiny has in store for you. But somehow us humans tend to adapt well to situations, and if you learn to live with what happens and hope for the best, you'll do well. it's possible that things might not fall into place exactly the way you want them. You might get discouraged by how things turn out in such a case where you think you are deserving. But you see, quoting from the Desiderata, nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Number 2, at some point early on in campus, among the various many things I wanted to do is I wanted to actually be a pilot. For some reason, I thought that it would be cool for me to, you see. Now, at that time, I was in my second year in medical school. I was doing my bachelor's in medicine and surgery. And this program called the Ab Initio Program by Kenya Airways came around. And so the chance to become a pilot came knocking at my doorstep. I went ahead and applied for it, and I was asked to come for the aptitude test. It was a little bit challenging, but I managed to ace it. I was invited for the second test, which was a bunch of science and mathematics and so on. Again, I passed it. And so the few of us who had survived the first and the second stages were invited for the third stage, which was basically a simulation of a flight on a computer. It was literally a game. You needed to fly a plane around some obstacles, and were meant to use a joystick. What they wanted to test was probably your agility skills and so on. The village boy that I was had never ever in my, how old was I? Maybe 20. The village boy that I was had never seen a joystick. I never knew how to use it, and so I failed that part of the exam. I was asked to go away, pack and go. I went back to medical school, and here I am, a doctor right now, nearly a surgeon. What did I learn? The lesson was that you can't be great at everything. It's really difficult to have all these abilities to excel at everything. What you need to do is basically pursue a few things that interest you, that you really think you are good at, and do well in them. Someone said that if you're going to sweep properly, sweep neatly. Oh, talking about neatly, if so far you think this is a neat video, why don't you smash that like button? You know how we do it, guys. And if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Join our community of awesome people. Feel very welcome to the channel, and make sure you click that notification bell so that you do not miss any of my productivity and digital life videos that I upload every week. So really, we need to perfect the few things we can do well, and it will make the world a much better place. Quoting from the Desiderata, keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. On to the third time that I got a rejection or felt like, having failed. And that is my postgraduate applications, ever since I cleared campus, I had this urge to get into graduate school as fast as possible. A strange thing is I really didn't have a particular interest, a particular field that I would like to pursue. And so I even did some applications for some UK universities. I would actually get admitted, but I would try and get a scholarship because some of those places are quite expensive to study in, but I would not get a scholarship. Every time I applied for a scholarship, I would get rejected, basically. Next, I decided that I would just try and get back into medical school and pursue a master's degree. For 2 consecutive years, I made applications to Aga Khan University, which is basically a private university that offers some master's programs in this country. And I applied for obstetrics and gynecology. Apparently, I would become a gynecologist. Oh, thank God I didn't get in. For some reason, I would go do the exam. There was an exam and an oral interview, and I would always pass the written exam, but somehow I was rejected in the oral interviews. I don't know exactly why. Probably it's because I didn't have enough experience initially. I thought they were looking for people who had become doctors for a bit longer than I had, especially for the program that I was applying to. The second time I was rejected, I don't understand exactly why I was rejected. Now, after I had done my 2 years as a medical officer, this time I decided to make my applications to the more, known public universities, University of Nairobi and Moi University, and by that time I had already settled in my mind that I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And so I made my applications to the orthopedic surgery programs, and I was actually admitted to both of them. For some reason, I decided to get into Moi University. What did I learn? Your time will come. Sometimes you just need to be patient with yourself. Sometimes you just need to do your time. Sometimes you just need to wait, If you're making applications for a job, for a place in a school, it's really sometimes just a matter of waiting. Your turn will come. Quoting from the Desiderata, beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. So yeah, guys, those are just some 3 situations which I got rejected or failed, but somehow I've managed to come to where I am right now, and that could happen to you. So keep at it. Keep at it. See you in the next one. And as always, no pressure.